Mom testifies against me in court to try to get me to pay child support for a baby that isn't mine because DNA doesn't matter, family is family. But months later, I've finally revealed my ex-wife's disgusting truth and Mom is mad. The entire family is distancing themselves from her and my own dad wants to divorce her. My mom testified against me in court, trying to force me to pay child support for a baby that isn't even mine, saying that DNA doesn't matter because family is family. But months later, I finally revealed the disgusting truth about my ex-wife, and now Mom is furious. The whole family is distancing themselves from her, and even my dad wants a divorce. I'll start by saying that my mother always longed for a daughter. Ever since I can remember, she dreamed of having a girl. I was her first child, but when we discovered I was going to be a boy, her disappointment was palpable. Over the years, she's told me countless times how she wished things had been different. My parents had planned to have more children, but soon after I was born, my mom developed severe health complications that made it impossible for her to conceive again. The idea of never having a daughter devastated her, a loss she still carries with her today. As I grew up, I noticed how much more affection she showered on my female cousins. They received extra gifts and attention, and it was clear she reserved a special kind of maternal love just for them. I never minded too much until my ex-wife, Sophia, entered the picture. Sophia is the daughter of my mother's long-lost best friend, a friend my mom reconnected with after years apart. The first time my mom met Sophia, she was taken aback by her beauty and instantly convinced that Sophia was the perfect match for me. At that time, I was single and tired of all the other setups Mom had tried. Reluctantly, I agreed to a blind date, more to appease her than out of genuine interest. The date confirmed what my mom had predicted. Sophia was stunning, but as the evening went on, I realized there wasn't much substance behind her beauty. When I asked about her goals, she said she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, her answer coming off as more of a default than a dream. I wanted a partner with passion and ambition, someone driven by more than just the idea of starting a family. Naturally, I told my mom that Sophia wasn't right for me. But Mom wouldn't let it go. Soon after, she invited me over to her house with Sophia present, hoping to force another meeting. The situation was awkward. We were in the middle of my parents' home, set up like a forced date. Sophia admitted that after our first date she'd like me and thought I had, too. But when I never followed up, she was left confused. I gently explained that while she was kind and beautiful, our life goals were completely different. Despite my clear rejection, my mom remained fixated on her idea. Not long after, she pushed us into an engagement. Both our mothers had been urging us to get married sooner rather than later, hinting that Sophia's biological clock was ticking. Before I knew it, we were engaged. My mom took charge of every detail of the wedding, sparing no expense, as if making this match was her personal mission. After the wedding and honeymoon, life with Sophia began to unravel in unexpected ways. At first, she kept true to her word about staying home and even did volunteer work at a local church. But soon, I noticed odd things. She started insisting every month that I send money to her mother, even though no one had ever mentioned this before. Then she began coming home very late, far from the image of a stay-at-home wife handling daily household chores. Now, the twist in my story is that Mom, the woman who once dismissed me for being a boy instead of the daughter she always wanted, is now testifying against me in court. She's using our twisted idea of family to claim I should pay child support for a baby that isn't mine. It turns out that when I finally revealed the truth about my ex-wife, her deceitful, manipulative behavior, my mom couldn't stand it. The entire family has turned against her, even my own dad is talking about divorcing her. In the end, I learned a hard lesson about what family really means. It isn't about shared DNA or forced roles, it's about genuine love and support. I chose to build my own life, with honesty and integrity, even if it meant exposing ugly truths and standing alone. Now, as the courtroom drama unfolds and family ties disintegrate, I know that my true success isn't measured by what they expect of me. It's measured by the life I've built on my own terms, one that, despite all the betrayal and heartbreak, is real and unyielding. I used to believe that when Sophia said she was out helping others, it meant she was volunteering, maybe feeding the homeless or mentoring a local kid. I never wanted to discourage her from doing something meaningful, but I also assumed that as a homemaker, she'd keep up with our household responsibilities. Instead, our dinners were always late, the laundry piled up, and the house was rarely clean. I tried to address it calmly, having several conversations with her about balancing her volunteer work and home duties. Each time, she promised to do better, yet nothing changed. The same pattern repeated: late meals, chores left undone, endless excuses about how busy she was helping people. One weekend, when she was supposed to be volunteering at a church, I decided to surprise her there. I thought I'd spend some time with her in her element and maybe lend a hand. But when I asked around, no one at the church knew who she was. I soon realized that the church she claimed to volunteer at didn't even know her name. For months, Sophia had told me she spent her days there, yet it turned out she hadn't set foot in that place at all. That evening, when she returned home, I tried to keep my cool. I asked how her day went, and she launched into her usual detailed story of how many people she helped. Then I asked her directly which church she had volunteered at. Without hesitation, she repeated the same name, the very church I'd visited earlier. That's when it hit me: she had been lying to me, not just once, but repeatedly. Something was seriously off. The next day, I parked a few feet from our house, determined to follow her. I wanted her to prove me wrong, that she really was at the church. I even prepared myself to apologize later for doubting her, but what unfolded shattered any hope of misunderstanding. About an hour after I left, I saw her step out of our front door wearing shorts and a tank top, an outfit I'd never seen her in before. Instead of driving toward the church, she headed in the opposite direction. My heart pounded as I followed her discreetly. Eventually, she pulled into a quiet neighborhood and parked in front of a house I didn't recognize. I watched in horror as a man stepped out to greet her, and then, my heart nearly stopped, they embraced and kissed in the driveway, as if this were a normal, everyday occurrence. Their closeness was so natural, so familiar, that I knew this wasn't a one-time mistake, it was a long-standing affair. Every odd excuse and late-night departure now made sense. She'd been living a double life right under my nose. My first instinct was to call my mother for comfort, but I knew that would only tip Sophia off. I needed proof, a solid case to confront her and end this marriage. For 2 weeks, I gathered every bit of evidence I could: photos of her with that man, screenshots of their texts, and records of the days she lied about volunteering. I also met with a lawyer to protect my assets, since I knew a divorce was coming. Finally, one evening, I sat her down and calmly told her I knew about the affair. At first, she tried to deny it, but I presented all the evidence: the pictures, the messages, the lies about the church. Cornered, she admitted that the man was her high school boyfriend. She tried to downplay it, insisting she was just being foolish, that it was nothing serious. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I was filing for divorce. She begged and pleaded, claiming she could change, that we could work it out, but I had lost all trust. To prevent any false stories, I created a group chat with my parents and Sophia's mother, sharing all the evidence so everyone knew the truth. As expected, my mother was livid. She even testified in court, arguing that I should pay child support for a baby that wasn't mine, insisting that DNA doesn't matter, family is family. Her betrayal cut deep, and my own father sided with me, saying I deserved better. The rest of the family gradually distanced themselves from her. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, Sophia and her mother unexpectedly showed up at my house a week after I filed for divorce. In a shocking twist, Sophia revealed she was pregnant with my child. I immediately refused to accept responsibility. Given her ongoing affair, I couldn't believe I was the father. Her mother lashed out, accusing me of ruining her daughter's life by not taking responsibility, and my own mom doubled down, threatening to testify that family means paying up regardless of DNA. I fought hard in court with my lawyer, presenting every scrap of evidence of her infidelity and insisting there was a strong possibility the baby wasn't mine. Still, my mother and Sophia's mother tried to downplay the affair as if it were nothing more than a harmless mistake. In the end, I learned a painful truth: the woman I married had been living a lie for years, and my so-called family valued appearances over truth. I had to rebuild my life from that betrayal. I protected my assets, moved forward with my divorce, and vowed never to let deception rule my life again. The process was excruciating, but I eventually found strength in knowing that true family isn't defined by DNA or forced obligations. It's built on trust, respect, and genuine love. Her cheating was brushed off like a minor slip-up. They even claimed that because Sophia and I had been intimate just weeks before our split, right when I found out about her affair, the baby had to be mine. Thankfully, the judge ruled that no decisions on child support or paternity could be made until after the baby was born and a proper paternity test was completed. That test would finally reveal whether I was the biological father. I felt a small relief amid a draining, painful ordeal. At least I wouldn't be forced to support a child that might not be mine without concrete proof. But my mom and Sophia's mom were livid. Later, my mom told me she wished I wasn't her son and that if I were a real man, I'd take responsibility for Sophia's child no matter what the paternity test said. Over the past few months, she's been bad-mouthing me to everyone in our family, painting me as the villain who ruined my marriage over what she insisted was just a one-time mistake by Sophia. No matter how much evidence I presented or how many logical arguments I made, she stuck to her narrative and blamed me for everything that went wrong. You can imagine my relief when the paternity test results finally came in after Sophia gave birth to a girl this week. As expected, the baby isn't mine. When I shared the news with Sophia, she broke down in tears, pleading with me to accept the child. She argued that her friends and family would reject both her and her daughter if I didn't step up. I felt deep sympathy for her situation, but it didn't change the fact that I wasn't the father. I told her firmly, "I'm sorry, but I can't do that. It's not my responsibility anymore." Since then, Sophia has kept calling and leaving voicemails, begging me to reconsider. Update 1. For those asking, Sophia claims that since I probably won't have kids anytime soon, I should consider this baby mine, even though she cheated on me. She also revealed that the guy she had an affair with, sweetheart, refused to marry her and has never been ready to settle down. That's why she married me in the first place. It's obvious she wanted to use me as a cash cow while keeping her affair alive. Honestly, I hope she at least takes him to court for child support, but at this point, I just don't care anymore. Update 2. I took everyone's advice and made a Facebook post to publicly announce that I am not the father of Sophia's child. I was tired of my mom backing Sophia after her betrayal and humiliating me for months. Well, after I called out my mom for supporting Sophia, she exploded because people started turning against her. She accused me of betraying her, ironic, considering she was the one who stabbed me in the back by testifying against me in court and trying to force me into paying child support. A lot of her friends and relatives initially believed her, but with the paternity test results, it's clear she was wrong about Sophia. People are calling her out in the comments and in person, telling her she needs to be a better parent to me and that I'm the real victim here. After my mom called to yell at me, she and Dad got into a huge fight. He was done with her constant bullying and threats to force me into accepting a child that isn't mine. Update 3. It's been 5 months since my last update, and my parents have decided to separate. This past month, my mom refused to change her ways and even started calling herself grandma to Sophia's baby. She's been giving Sophia money every month and even volunteers to babysit her child. It seems like she's finally living out her dream of having a long-lost daughter. However, my dad is fed up with it all. He thinks it's completely inappropriate and wants nothing to do with Sophia or her child. Their constant fights have driven Dad to move out and stay with me. It breaks my heart that my mom chose to focus on my cheating ex-wife's daughter over her own family. Anyway, my dad is meeting with a lawyer this week to move forward with a divorce.